welcome to our first edition, or kind of our first episode of like a Q&A session. So we were realizing that a lot of things are good or well communicated in a letter, but some things are not. Like some things would really take a ton of space or would be kind of hard to describe in words. So we thought it might be a little bit better of a method to make some short videos to kind of keep you guys in the loop. So, by the way, for those of you who have not met my lovely wife,
hello.
Here she is in the flesh. So, yeah, I understand that a lot of you haven't had the opportunity to meet her, and I really hope that you get that opportunity very soon. She is wonderful.
Yeah, I really want to meet everyone who has supported my wonderful husband financially and through prayer, so I'm excited to do that soon, hopefully.
So, yeah, going forward, we want to do some more question and answer videos. So, on that note, we do want to answer the questions that you guys actually are curious about. So if you would, you can email me at joshcoles@hotmail.com, which I'll leave a link in the description, and that would be really great so we can know what to focus on. So with that, we're equipped with our tea.
Very British.
It's the afternoon,
yes.
And those of you watching in England, I have not lost all of my heritage.
He's treating me well.
Not all of it. Okay, so question one was, what does Sarah do? So what do you do, Sarah?
I work with kids who struggle to learn, so kids who have dyslexia and dysgraphia and other types of learning disabilities. This doesn't mean that kids are mentally disabled, but they fall in the gap between getting extra help in the classroom and being able to function normally in a classroom, or being able to function well in a classroom.
Well, I didn't really know that there was a gap between kids who qualified for individual help and kids who could succeed in the classroom until Sarah and I met. And then shortly after we met, I heard of 3 different families just within the community of people at Moody who had returned from serving overseas because of their kids' educational needs. They just couldn't get the help that they needed. So that was really interesting timing to see, like, wow, that is a huge need. Something's really important. So question 2 was, how did we both get involved or interested in missions? So I'll go first. Well, I grew up in England, and my parents have been involved in missions for over 30 years. So I grew up familiar with what missionaries did and the lifestyle of missionaries and support raising and those sorts of things. But I always thought I had a pretty narrow idea of what being a missionary looked like, Bible translation or church planting or something like that. But what I've realized over the years is the missions world is much wider and much broader than I thought. And so in high school, I found out about missionary aviation. So the concept of many missionaries are working in extremely isolated places that are just extremely hard to get to, which is typically why the people haven't heard about Jesus. And so since the end of World War II, mission agencies have been utilizing airplanes to help bridge those gaps, and they need people to fly those airplanes. So how did you get interested in being a missionary?
I grew up in the mission field. My dad is a pilot with Mission Aviation Fellowship. So from a very young age, I was exposed to missions and aviation specifically. So I watched my parents do missions, and it was just a huge part of my life. From a very young age, I always wanted to be a missionary. I always wanted to follow in my parents' footsteps and do that as well. Nearing the end of college, I was kind of wrestling with, well, what does my role on the mission field look like? I'm not gifted in Bible translation, or I don't feel called to be a church planter, but I have these skills to be able to work with LD kids, and I think that could be useful. And so because of my experience with it being taken overseas, I was like, that's a great idea. I think I want to do that too.
Okay, question number 3 is, what is next? So I'm currently serving as a flight instructor at Moody Aviation, and I have one more year on my commitment there. So next June, we will be done with Moody and moving on to the next thing. So for about the last 4 months, we've been praying and talking to different representatives of the missions agencies and trying to make a decision about like what should we do after I'm done at Moody. And we have prayerfully been considering and have started applying to Africa Inland Mission. So Africa Inland Mission has a branch called AIM Air, and they have 6 airplanes that they use to support the missionaries working there. And the goal there is, their mission is Christ-centered churches among all African people groups. So they use the airplanes to support that work and to support the work of church planting in Africa. So we're in that application process. So you guys can pray that God would just be leading in that process, and that God would...
We would ultimately do what He's leading us to do.
Yeah, and that we would be obedient in what God is leading us to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you so much for joining us. Hope this was a little bit informative, and you can look forward to more. And again, if you want your questions answered, then you can email them to me or put them in the comments section. We had to have a mistake, right?
We had to.